Hey guys, Dave from 3DP and me here. Ready for the next episode in our Millennium Build Milo series. So last time we left off, we were finishing up the X-axis assembly and then attaching onto the Y. So I've just got what we finished with here. All I did off stream was attach the remaining hand wheel. We're all good there. However, we need some space for this next part because the FMJs are quite big, so we're just going to move this out of the way and then we're going to get stuck in. Now, it is worth noting that oh, there we are. Why am I still in studio mode? Right. It is worth noting that there are two sets of instructions for the Z-axis on Milo. And the reason for that is the standard printed Z has these printed brackets on the side, and then the LDO kit comes with these FMJ plates, which are machined aluminium. Some people have been self-sourcing them in steel, but this is what we're going to do today. So we're going to follow the FMJ assembly instructions. Right. So, as I said, we're going to take this assembly and just move it out of the way so we've got space to build the Z-axis. Cool, so FMJs. They are identical, both sides, to keep down manufacturing costs. However, those of you who are eagle-eyed will note that we don't end up using the cutouts on one side of it because we only route the wiring from the Z down one side of the axis. But it just means a single part number, which reduces your manufacturing costs when you get them done externally rather than printing. Okay, what do we need? So we need the 4 different lengths of extrusions. 2, 3, 4. The eagle-eyed amongst you will notice that they do not quite look like the picture. Now, there's a reason for that. The standard height of the Z-axis is 60 millimeters. But we're using FMJ, so at 120, so all of these bits are a little bit taller, basically. These two are a bit taller, sorry, an extra 60 mil, which is why they stick up further than these ones. Who have I got in chat today? Anyone I recognise? Right. So, first step, we're going to start by attaching the linear rails to the Z-axis. Let's just double check the length of the bolts and then we can turn off the manual. M3 by 10s. HCS, there we go. And we'll obviously need the M3 key nuts. There we go. So, hi Chris. How's everyone doing? I'm guessing everyone here is UK or EU based at the moment, given how early this would be for a lot of US guys. I suspect we'll have more people joining later because of that. But I wanted to get the mechanical assembly of Milo done today, and hopefully tomorrow evening, if things go well today, we can schedule in a bonus stream to take a look at the Getting all the electronics done. 2 AM. You keen bean. Where are you at, Glenn? Australia. Oh, we're all over the place. Jeez. Australian time must be nearly 2 AM as well, surely. New Zealand. Oof. Man, I love New Zealand. Me and my wife went for our honeymoon. Oh, well, just after our honeymoon, for a month there. Really, really good. We did the whole classic tourist tour. Flew into the North Island, got a camper van, drove all the way down, and flew back from the south. 11 PM in Oz. Okay. Right. We have some lead screws. We have some linear rails. Okay, so we're going to just take these and our little clips that we used before. Double check the manual, but I'm pretty sure it's every other hole again, starting from the end. Yeah. So again, if you don't want the M3 T-nuts to stick out, just orientate them the correct way around, because they are right at the limit of the length of the rails here. I'll put that there to give me my estimate. I honestly don't know if you'll save any money self-sourcing. I certainly didn't save any money versus the kit when I self-sourced my parts. I guess it depends where you are and what the kit prices are where you are, but for me, once you factor in all the individual delivery costs and so on, I was pretty much at the same price as the LDO kit. You got to remember that it includes all of the machined parts, which getting them yourself add up really quickly. Although you can buy them from like DFH and so on, which helps. That wasn't available when I did mine. My first one, I should say. Classic Brit. Yeah, Glenn, I know. It's a bit cliche, but you've got to appreciate it. There's a reason why we do it. It's a beautiful country. Beautiful country for a trip. So if you've ever been to the UK, Scotland is kind of similar. But like, I don't know, I'd describe New Zealand as like Scotland on steroids, is how it is here. Like the Highlands and just everything that makes Scotland beautiful, but New Zealand does it to the extreme. It's really cool. Although Scotland doesn't have any rainforests. It's a variety of like different landscapes there is pretty impressive. Marius, I'm trying to self-source from Oslo and I'm hitting around 1,400 euros, and that's without the plates. Yep, that sounds about right. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure how LDO have managed to do the kit with all the machine parts and everything for this price. It's yeah, it's a bit bonkers. Because you got to remember, LDO is making some money. Every reseller's making money on that kit price, and they're still coming out cheaper than most people can self-source without cutting out 2 middlemen. So it's a bit bonkers. Done the UK a couple of times. Nice, Glenn. Where have you been? Right, so same principle as all the other times we've done the rails. Use the printed guides to snap them into place. Third lock every bolt. I've just been doing every other T-nut there. Was it 3x10, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. I'm going to try and clean this up because I left a lovely blue stain on my desk earlier. I think I knocked it on its side and left it overnight. It's gone everywhere. Right. Cool. So. Teeny tiny bit of thread lock. Drop them in. Who else on the chat is waiting for any benefit to putting T-nuts in all the positions? Not really. I think LDO has given quite a few spares, but you wouldn't have enough to do that. It really doesn't make a difference, and like the fasteners, like they add up to quite a lot of money actually especially when you're self-sourcing. Also, it just takes a load longer each time you want to do anything with them. Right, you've been to London, up M1 to Scotland via a few places. Nice, nice. Any chance you happen to go through the Peak District? You would have gone past Sheffield, which is where I'm based, if you went up the M1 to Scotland there. But yeah, Edinburgh is really nice. It's a place to visit. Right. Obviously, I've got two bolts that are underneath the carriages, but as I said the other day, you want to just get the other ones in before you slide the carriages around, because you risk getting the bolt head stuck on the underside of the carriage there. Follow my own rules. Oops. Oh, Lake District. Nice. Yeah, Lakes is lovely. So Jake's from that sort of region. At lunchtime. Bring me something. I'm going to be starving by the time we finish this. Alright. No, that's not true. I went for a little walk with the dog before I sat down and started prepping for this, and I stopped at the bakery and got a cheeky pork and stuffing roll. So, pretty sorted. Oh, why am I blurry? Interesting. Yeah, Memento. I think there is some condensation or something on the lens. No. Interesting. Right, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. But, well, you can still see me, so we'll just have to keep going. I'm not sure where that's going. It does look like it. I can assure you it is not steamy or smoky in here. Maybe it's in between the two lenses. Oh. Nope. Interesting. Very, very strange. Right. Interesting. Oh well, we will, it's got worse. Okay, we are just going to... Yeah, it's definitely the camera. It didn't look like this about 5 minutes ago, so it's a bit odd. I have to take the whole lens off and clean it, but let's just go to down, top down. You don't need to see my face for this stream. Right. In fact, it's probably better this way. No one needs to see my face. We know what you look like. Hey, you're building yours as well. Where are you up to, X-Scale? I know your kit arrived after mine, but yeah, I've been very slow in getting started. Right. Front set rails now. For this part of the assembly, be very careful these don't fall off, because you will inevitably end up with your carriages shooting off the end, because it's not until quite near the end that we put the top and bottom sections on. Right. Interesting. You started this morning and you're putting the inserts in and doing them. Yeah, that part of the build is tedious, putting all of the inserts in and so on. Right, I'm just going to put this to the side for a second. We need the FMJs. And we need to lay out these extrusions. So, what we're going to do is we're essentially creating a solid block here that the ballast box will then eventually go in the top of when we're finished. And that forms the main structural block of your assembly. So, lay it down. Essentially, these are going to get pulled into place by the FMJs. We then have the lower beam. And the FMJ, although slightly regretting having the rails on already because of that angle. So essentially, this assembly ends up sitting a bit like this. That one will be flush basically with the bottom, this one will be up a bit further, 18mm I think, and the lower bearing block goes under here. So you can either measure that height or you can set it with the bearing block. No, sorry, that comes down a little. Then the bearing block goes underneath, just like that. There we go. Voila. Now we have the fun job of preloading lots and lots and lots of tea nuts. Boom. Wish I could afford this as a college weekend. Where are you based, Rice Bowl? I wish I could have afforded it as a student as well. But sometimes smock. It's getting even worse. I think there must be a little bit of moisture in there. That camera's been sat in the garage this week. I've not moved it. I probably should have. I think I'll just need to take the full lens off and let it evaporate. In fact, I'm going to do that now, so that we might have it for the next section. Yay! We're back. Messed up all my angles and zooms, but we're back. Right, technical issues aside. So all we're going to be doing here is lining up all these tea nuts now with these holes. There are a lot of them. So this might take a while, so please do ask lots of questions and entertain me in chat while I load all of these things. Just a reminder, when you're doing this bottom set, it's only these four. The bottom four go into the y-axis. So you're only placing two at the bottom here. Do I have a spare? Well, this is... So these extrusions kindly have a nice line on them to indicate where the halfway is. That one entirely. You come. I need to get me some tweezers. Once you get the first kind of row of this done, it becomes a lot quicker because you can reference that row, make a much better first guess. And 3 up here. Now you can preload the ones for the bits that bolt onto the middle, but actually you've got a big hole there where you can just put them on as and when you actually attach the components in there. 3. Missed that one. Across. There you see how this is the full length, so the top of these 3 extrusions should be aligned. Right, would it be wise to outsource parts yourself? Not sure if this kit is available where I'm from, Southeast Asia. You certainly can, or you can go the printed part route and machine them yourself. The only bits you can't make on Milo are these FMJ plates. They're just too long in this exact form. Have I done that right? 3, 6, yeah. But yeah, you can do it, or you can go the printed route and then machine your own plates, which is also a valid option. So 2 for the next 2 along, 2 here, 1 up. Testing my poor little brains today. So on my Milo back there, I machined my own X, Y, and Z plates, and I used a local manufacturer to cut 3 sets of FMJs out of steel that we shared around the design team. Having a quick drink. Right. Okay, need 3 more of these in this gap. No, not this gap. That's the next plate along. Get out of there. Right, I think that is all of the ones for this one side. I'm going to do this bit, attach them loosely to the plate. Then I'm going to get my, little reference flat granite plate out and just raise it all up so that this can be attached alongside without the side of the bearing carriage causing it to sit funny. Couldn't an 80/80 extrusion be used to... I think they were just awkward to source where we were. There is no reason why you couldn't, providing it's still got the same channel mounting points for the holes, the same like groove spacing. What I'm gonna do... No spare extrusions. You must have one somewhere. Perfect. Borrow the little teeny tiny one from the electronics. What I'm doing here is making sure I don't do this up too low down for it to actually attach on. Rice Bowl, where are you in engineering Oh, Southeast Asia. Got it. Yeah, I would have loved to have access to one of these when I was at university. Our university did have like a workshop space, but it was such hard work getting access to it. It was unreal. All this is doing is telling you how to stagger these. So notice the two long ones and the really short one are flush at the top, and then the front one with the rails attached has an 18mm gap on the bottom. Oh, and the channel, the groove in the channel faces outwards, so you can see the lead screw. There's the 18mm bit. 13 M5 by 10 BHCS. We've come. Oh yeah, this is a good note if you're self-sourcing. If you're not using the standard thickness here, the 6mm, then beware that you will have to adjust your bolt length. And you'll have to adjust the bomb appropriately. Open release. Okay. Just adjust a few of these. Oh, I've done the exact thing I told. 3D Maker noob not to do, just put these this way round so that they stick out the bottom of the FMJ. Rookie error. It's only a minor aesthetic thing, but you know how we can be. You guys probably get a better view of where the T-nuts are than I am from here. You know the drill for this part. We add thread locker, we put in a bolt, we repeat. Yeah, 6mm thickness is enough. Certainly for, well, I don't know anyone that's running much thicker than 6mm at the moment on the FMJs. I am a bit tempted to just try and see what would happen if I put like 1/2 inch thick plates on it. But I feel like there's probably other parts of the machine that could be stiffened up and get you a more cost-effective improvement than doing something ridiculous like that. It would also make the mill very heavy to deal with. I wonder how much the pre-thread locked bolts cost. Be tempting. Thread locker off my nice, beautiful anodized aluminium parts. Yes, you can use 8080. Nice, dude. I think the main reason is sourcing 8080 is way more awkward. Certainly it was here in the UK. Build 8080. Nice, dude. Share some pictures on the Discord. I would like to see. I don't think I've actually seen anyone's build doing that yet. But I can't see any good reason not to try it. I mean, it can't hurt because that whole structure is essentially held together by the plate. Having it being one structure initially has to make it a bit stiffer. As long as you've got the same actual material in the centre of the 8080 as in the centre of these two C-beams. The usual question, how's the music? Is it too loud? Too quiet? Did you even know it was there? It's doing what it needs to do for me anyway. Yeah, it would be. You could then just block off the bottom and fill from the top like that. That would be quite a neat way of doing it. Just have a look at how we're doing at the back. Just make sure they're all lined up vertically, which they are. Good. As I said, I'm just going to use this plate to get a little bit of extra height. Will also help keep everything else nice and flat. Now you can buy proper inspection rated plates like this. Granite plates. This is just an ex-kitchen counter bit, so pretty much given away for free. I paid a tiny amount to have it cut to a sensible shape. It was a cut out from a sink. FMJ, have you just tagged me in it? What? Camera's going wild. Have you just tagged me in the chat on Discord? Oh, I don't have it open. I'll have to look at it afterwards. Sometimes I've got Discord preloaded in the background to share, but not today. Right. As I said, you can either measure the 18mm gap, or you can take the bearing block that's going to sit there and use that to get your spacing. But essentially it works out as being flush with the bottom of the FMJs. Now we have a lot of these to preload in the side here, which is going to be fun. Again, just using the FMJ as the reference on the side. Cool, Darius, I will check after this stream and have a look at it. That's something that actually appeals to me, the idea of going 80-80 and then doing it. I've yet to actually fill a ballast box because I just don't have a nice place to deal with the epoxy. Well, until recently. Until I got this area built. And my machine is up and running and working and I just didn't want to take it apart. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up here. 3. Give you guys a little bit of tunes as well. Why not? Okay. Reload the rest of these. So only these 3 because we've got a gap. How many at the top? Another 3. What are your guys' plans for the rest of the day? I know Scale is prepping all of the parts for his build. What about the rest of you? Are we talking dog walks or are we talking machine builds? That's the question. Other answers are acceptable. Oh no. Miles up on some of these. Sorry if you're just looking at the top of my head. You've seen me do this before, but all I'm doing is using, in this particular case, a hole punch, just because it's a convenient shape. Aligning the holes. Swimming with the kiddo. Nice. I've been meaning to get back in a pool. It's been quite a while. I've got a significant amount of Christmas belly from both Christmas and all the months before it to sort out. Promised my wife I wouldn't get dad bod until I was a dad, but well, the bod certainly came before the dad. What printer upgrades are you doing, Lengus? I also have that on the cards for in between the 2 streams. I'm going to be wiring up my V-Core again. Got a new electronics like setup for it. I'm going to sleep yet, don't blame you. You're going to be up again in 6 hours though for this evening stream, right? I gotta love these bolts. The coating on them's real nice. Dark, but they're not gonna go rusty like the cheap ones. Oh, that's quite a big upgrade, that one. Is it full teardown, I think, to do that, isn't it, Glengus? V2.2 to 2.4. You can't use 2 bits of 8080. This middle one, if you use that as 1 bit, it would get in the way of all the motors. You could only replace this side with 8080. Blue juice everywhere. Literally everywhere. Let's just check that. Cool. Right, we're just doing all these up loosely for now because I'm expecting I'm going to have to do a little bit of shuffling on the opposite side once I attach everything together to get it all aligned nicely. Few of them a little bit of a clamp down so things try not to move too much when I turn it over. Right, now we repeat on the other side. I'm just going still going to sit there, but it's not going to sit nice and flat now because it's on all those bolt heads. 140/80. So it's this beam here that you replace with the 80/80, right? 180/80 Z-axis and 180/120. Oh, I'm going to have to look at this Discord chat, aren't I? It sounds a lot more than just swapping out a basic like for like swap mod. I think sand is just the most cost-effective option, Frank. Oh, you've totally lost me now, Darius. I'm going to have to get this up, aren't I? Right. Let's finish this row of T-nuts and then we'll have a quick sanity break from doing T-nuts and have a look at this new mod. Darius, have you tagged me in the build thread so I can find it straight away? Right, give me a second, guys. I've just got the DM. We're gonna add a Discord scene. Apologies for the black screen. I just need to capture the window. Capture 2. Discord. Okay. Right, what have we got, guys? Can you all see Discord? I think you can. This thing looks a bit bonkers. So that... Oh, okay. So you've got... Your FMJ plate goes all the way along the Y-axis, which is also taller than it is normally. And then you've got your 8080. Wow, geez. And 2020s all here. So that front one is your standard C-beam that I've got here. And you've got an 8080 and 81. What is your Y-axis reach there? It's going to be huge compared to the stock one. Did you guys see that, by the way, while I was looking at the thing? Yeah, you can. Crazy. Right. Anyway. That thing looks mad. Okay. We'll use these ones to get the rough alignment for the rest of them again. So, one in the bottom there. Three over here. Please ignore my bloody finger. I cut myself this morning. And yeah, it's just a bit scabby and gross. $240 by $440. Jeez. Well, how far into the build are you? Have you built those yet, or because we've never experimented going that far out. The changes to the Y are obviously the most challenging to the Y-axis in terms of the table size working area, and by far the most challenging to actually achieve, because that's where you need to add the most stiffness for the smallest amount of gain. So there we go, right across this set. In hindsight, I probably should have pre-placed these off stream. I forgot how long it takes to put all these nuts in. Right. Hey Phil, how you doing? Align this set again, seeing as we're off of the beaten track again. Well, there's a frame. Yeah, I know. The frame... I've got some dust in my FMJs. Yes, so that is my plan for this evening, if I get a chance, is to also play around with moss. because I'm going to have to install it and demonstrate it to everyone very soon. Hopefully. No, that was off. Hoping we're ready by then. Yeah, I hope so, Phil. I was following your guide, your trials the other day. Too busy to actually take part and comment, but I read them all. Read all the updates when I got into bed, I think. Will the cassette 2? I don't think it will be out in time for batch 2, but you'll probably be able to order it by the time you finish building batch 2, Milo. To be honest, there's not. I mean, there's quite a lot of differences for Casa V2, but they're not that fundamental. It just makes it a bit easier to source. Can't do that. Oh, we got this one is. This is the problem one that sticks out either way round. My dream, Phil, is that tomorrow I'm going out for a walk, but I want to do the electronics and Moss tomorrow evening if I can. Phil, have you seen many 8080 20mm grooves, 20mm spaced extrusions? I'd be curious because, yeah, I'd be curious because it sounds like quite a fun idea for swapping out the ballast box for just a solid extrusion and capping the bottom. Yeah, square. So, replacing this extrusion here, or two extrusions with a single 8080. I've seen it in the 40mm extrusion size, 40 series, but not in 20 very often. start using this bit that's building up on the outside of the thing. Oh, the one thing I do still need to do before I properly cut metal with this is I need to start my rewire on CASA so that I can put my big one connector to rule them all in, so I can swap between machines. Okay, except MJ holes. Yeah, I think it is 40 spacing, looking at it. And I've seen plenty of those around, which is why I was questioning it, because ideally we wouldn't move from the 20 spacing, because then you need to introduce a new set of T-nuts, like quite a few other, like, it's kind of now a bit non-standard. You've got one completely different format of extrusion in your assembly. That being said, 40/40 extrusions are inherently significantly stiffer than 20/20 ones. So there is an argument for it. Uh-oh. No. Bank. Where do we find what, Adam? What are you looking for? Oh no. Oh. Every man's worst nightmare. You get this far and one of these nuts doesn't go in. Oh, we're okay. Need to unmagnetize this Allen key. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. I was thinking. I've only seen it in 40 series. Although I can see that you could make that work fine. As I said, it would be a bit annoying from a bomb perspective, managing both. Only a bit though. Do up a few of these a bit tighter. Stuff doesn't move around. Right. Okay. That's so dark, you can't see anything. Right, it's a good sign that it's sitting flat, because if these weren't attached level, that would be your first indication. Not quite happy with the alignment on this one, on this side. It's not quite lined up to the extrusions, so we're just going to have to modify that a little. In the top here, the extrusions are lined up nicely, so I'm quite happy with the actual position of the extrusions. It's just that one plate on that side I think just needs aligning better against the back face here. Against this face. Yeah, and that's sort of replicated to the front. So put it on this side and just loosen a few. Casa 2.0 teaser. I think Jake posted it in the regular Casa channel. It was just a response to a question. There was no big announcement, I don't think. Nothing as fancy as that. Right. So all I'm doing on this side, which you guys can't really see now, is loosening the bolts for these vertical extrusions. Just so that this plate here can sit properly flush. And again, I'm using the advantage of having this nice flat plate, is I can use that as my reference surface for all three, to kind of get all three sides aligning. And then I'm just going to nip up some of those to tighten it back up. Just have a quick look at the back again. Okay, so I've now got like this edge is lined up perfectly. The other side's still slightly off on the bottom, so I'm just going to repeat what I did on this side with the other side. Just check vertically that we're still good. Not much in that. Once the other side's aligned nicely, that'll go. I'll let you see this one from the top this time. So I'm loosening all the bolts on the bottom two extrusions. So that was the one there that was holding everything. Cool. And I'm just going to press. Now I can feel this front is lining up much nicer now. So just a bit happier with that alignment. Just hold it in place and then start clamping those down again. Stop it from moving. Okay. Let's see how we're feeling now. Okay, so that side's nice. Over. Yeah, that's feeling good. And we're sitting nice and stably on that plate, except for the fact that it's very top heavy. There's no wobble there. And now I'm just going to look down front here and check that, obviously because these rails are not connected directly onto the FMJs, and we're kind of using the fact the FMJs have been machined as kind of my reference at the moment, just to do my best first guess at getting this assembly nice and aligned. So what I'm going to do is just check this front row of this extrusion and just try and make sure that it's nicely lined up. So I can see here at the bottom here, the bottom is in line, but at the top it's tilted slightly back just because of the clearance holes in this plates. So we're just going to have a little play with that one as well. I need to loosen it on the other side as well. Yeah, you couldn't directly swap to 40 series, unfortunately. You're right. I knew there was a reason why we hadn't picked an 8080. Thought it was hard to get hold of. I'm just going to turn this towards me. Apologies guys, you're not going to see this very well. But, quite important you get this lined up nicely, so I'm just going to get it as close where I can actually see what I'm doing as possible. So there's a very slight movement possible here just based on the clearance holes. And what I'm doing is trying to get the front lined up at both the top and the bottom so that I don't have the rails at an angle relative to the rest of the axis, and that's just going to make everything else a bit easier later on in terms of tramming the whole machine. Just grab a So I'm just going to use a 1, 2, 3 block here, simply as a nice flat reference point to push the two faces together, like in line, and then knit just one to allow the rest of the assembly to pivot a little. And then I'm going to repeat on this side. I think I'm actually going to have to just loosen this middle one as well. Get that in there. Yeah, it's better. The side. Let's just get them both aligned. Nice. Just using that as the reference again. Good. Right. So I am pretty happy with how that's all aligned now. I'm not sure, I'm afraid, Mike. Not sure yet. Jake's still building the first prototype, so as a minimum he'll have to finish testing that, and then we'll have to test the first LDO release to check that their BOM is correct. So while I'm talking, I'm just doing some inspections to just see what's... I'm happy with the alignment all round. This middle extrusion is slightly high now after I just adjusted it from the outside compared to the other two, but that's going to make next to no difference because that one's just there as kind of a support between the other two extrusions. I'm pretty happy, to be honest, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten up all the rest of these bolts. And I'm probably going to be lazy about it. LDO will be releasing a kit for CASA, well, providing all of our testing goes well and we can release a design that is like cost effective to ship, then yes, LDO have an intent to release CASA, is what I'd say. You just finished the XY. Speedy. That's annoyingly fast, Xscale. Turn this down. Just checking what. Yeah, it's good. So if you are going to use a drill, make sure you're using one of the settings on it for the torque limit, because remember you are only dealing with M5 bolts here at the end of the day. You don't want to over torque them. All the brick and various building dust coming out of my drill. It lives most of its life working on house improvement, not fun machine building. You're video proof. Are you doing an instruction manual? Sorry, I just need a top up. I don't think I drank enough yesterday. Super thirsty. Yeah, the ultimate streaming setup. The fridge is literally, I can touch it from camera. Well, the outdoor fridge is there anyway. It literally has some beer, some champagne, and a random thing of yogurt in there. We just had our kitchen redone, and we don't really need the second fridge anymore. But we had that on our old house, and it's like, it's not worth selling, particularly, but at the same time we don't know if we actually want to keep it. So for now it's a booze fridge. This all seems familiar. Hey dude, how you doing? Pretty Maker Noob has joined the party, guys. Alright, Scout, don't worry, dude. The reason why I do these on the streams is it takes so long to do it, like, correctly with all the videos. Although I'm hoping this series, I've broken it down into shorter sections. There's not many big, long ones. I'm hoping people will be able to watch along and build kind of in their own time, in sensible sized chunks. I know when I was building my first one, I mostly did it in 1 and 2 hour slots, but I got it wrong so many times at that point. We didn't have a manual, I didn't have half the right kit because I was self-sourcing. So, 3D Maker Noob, this week I intend to spend some time learning more about Milo. Well, you came to the right place. Good on you. It's your opportunity to watch someone else get knackered on stream building. The parts I was showing you earlier, I recommend you have a look at. Should be super easy to source the material for. It's like a first bit to do in aluminium. So you just need 20 by 10 bar, 70mm long, and you can buy this in like meter long lengths for like 10 quid or something. Yes, they are. And then you've got there's 3 ops actually, so you machine most of it on your first op to get to these stage. Then you flip it over, you face all of the back off, and then you've got the optional final op where you do the chamfering for the reverse side. Yeah, and then this drops into the FMJ plate and holds it in place. Where is it? You can see. Sorry, any excuse to stop playing with T-nuts and thread locker. Yeah, so like this will essentially drop into these holes like that and allow you to bolt through, and it's going to spread that clamping force the full width rather than 2 bolts with a washer or using the printed part. So it's just like a non-mandatory but nice little starter project. This was my first attempt where the dimensions were wrong, I think, so it doesn't quite fit. Yeah, I hadn't modified the tolerances on the Fusion model yet for this one, so that's off a bit, but all of this next batch just drop in nicely. So if I get time, I might try and get 2 of them finished, ready for it being the last part of my mechanical build this evening. But we'll see. I haven't actually finished the cam tool paths for the other 2 sides yet. That sounds pretty good to me. I don't think you can expect much better than 50 microns, really. You know, that's a higher tolerance than the sort of some of the plate materials and stuff we're working with. So for the Z, you should have got some shims in your kit. The shims. Oh, here's some of them. You should have got some shims. So if you're off front to back on the Z, so you know, tilting this way, you can shim underneath here to get your actual rails perpendicular, and that's a good start. You then have, once you assemble the spindle itself, you kind of want to get to the point where you're happy that these rails are pretty much trammed really well. And then when you attach the spindle, you kind of need to do the same with the spindle housing. Again, you can put the shims behind it, or because you actually get a reasonable amount of adjustment in here, just for how you hold the spindle when you're doing it up. That will allow you to get a little bit of change, but the downside is it also means you always have to tram that bit. There's no just doing up and hoping for the best. I like to put two 123 blocks on the table and rest the spindle nose, so either side of the spindle. I like to rest the spindle nose, these bits, each side on a 123 block, and then do it up, and then I lift it a millimeter, move those 123 blocks round, drop it back down again so that the 123 blocks are now in Y instead of X. Loosen it a little and just check that I get the same, and you shouldn't be able to, like, when you press it down, they should be kind of tight on both 123 blocks at the same time is your goal. And that gives you a really good starting point normally. And from there you can try and put some shims in and stuff if you need to, but I've generally if the axis itself overall is quite good, got away with just adjusting how the printed part was clamped to finish that adjustment off. Right, where did I get to with these bolts? Voila. Okay. Doing it all without the shims. Yeah, they're there for a reason. They do help. Hopefully you don't need them is normally the goal, but in reality you often will want them. Okay, so we need the little wiring bits. It's that little one. This little one. No, not that one. I'm going to add these in later because they're high risk of breaking. Also, I think I need to check where the LDO versions of these things attach. I'm only used to the original ones. So I'll do them when I do the wiring. Yeah, you guys can see the manual at the same time, couldn't you? Okay, lower bearing block. So, oh no, I missed one. I knew I'd find one straight away. Right, what else have I missed? Let's just double check. Safe than sorry. Cool. Right. So, manual up here, we need the bearing block. I pressed this in earlier just to check the fit and it didn't come back out, so it fit good. And this is going to go on the underside here. What bolts do we need? We need M5x12. Get rid of that one. I need to do your syringe tactic, 3D Maker Noob. I've got blue juice everywhere. Right, M5x12, wasn't it? BHCS. Where are you? You know I saw you earlier. This is where I need you a nice little printed out thing. Come on. I literally saw you earlier. 5x8, 5x10, 5x20, 16, 12. There you are. The biggest bag right in front of me. Mine too. Right. 4 of these. We're going to be going through the bottom there. Let's just scoop some of this blue juice from the outside. Awesome. So if you make the noob saying awesome, that makes it so much easier than trying to hold a square with one hand, move the Z-axis to your forehead, and tie your screws together. Oh man, I've been there. I have been there. Try doing it with the printed parts, which then have a slight like sag back down after you release your forehead from them. So you almost need to like preload them backwards so that they sag into vertical. That is, trust me, the FNJs make this whole experience so much easier than it is with just printed parts. And yeah, shimming it and stuff obviously is gonna make that process easier even more. Oh, in you go. Just get all this blue juice that's running down the outside. So I have done these up reasonably tight. But when it comes to assembling your Z, you probably want to just loosen these back a little bit and just make sure that it's all running smooth when you do start to checking how well your Z is running. But I'm taking a punt that it's going to be in the right place. Right. No, we do not want Discord, we want the manual. Voila. We have done that. We're not going to put the ballast box in right now because A, I've not filled it with ballast, and B, you can drop it in later with only removing the motor. At some point I'll fill that with ballast and we'll do a little thing about doing the epoxy resin stuff. Right. Okay, anti-backlash now. Voila. So you guys have seen me do these already. You don't need to see me putting more heat set inserts in. I have already come in here and adjusted this. I'm going to loosen it just a fraction. Yeah, there we go. No, too loose. Too loose. So as you can see, mine's kind of already assembled. I like to try and get the right sort of preload beforehand so that when it comes to actually running it, when it comes to threading it back in once it's assembled, it's all just a bit easier. Cool, it's running fine. Right, don't make blue juice mess. Okay, so in terms of assembling this, it's the same as the X and Y, it's just a bit shorter. Than the X. Squeeze it in, use the lead screw nut just to make sure that it fits while it's still warm. Put the nuts in, you're good to go. Voila. Remember, this one does have a shape and direction, so you know which way up it's got to go. That is important. Don't install it backwards because you end up with all of your travel being moved by the difference of where this bolt location is. Which is an issue. On the square spindles though, the mount for that actually requires this to be flipped upside down to get the travel right, but on the regular build you should just follow the manual, obviously. Right, we're going to place a locking nut collar on the end. At about 13 millimeters from the bottom of the lead screw. Enjoy your weekend till you make a noob. I'll drop you a message when I'm doing an actual machining session. We can maybe that'll be a good learning opportunity at some point. So load the little grub screws in. Put it a little bit too far in. So about 13 millimeters from the end. Immediately moved it. Of course I did. I suspect, given how bad I was at holding that still when I measured there, that I'm going to have to adjust this, but consider that a starting point. Yeah, so just checking that I did so the locking nut's going on the opposite end to the curved side of the Z, so the Z itself is the right way up when you're looking at it, and the locking nut is on the bottom. So I'm just going to wind this down so I can drop it in the middle of the carriages. The right way around. Okay, let's take these off. The good news now though is obviously we've got the bottom bit on, so the carriages can't come off anymore. So we're safe to do that. Right. That is in. I haven't taken the other rails off because LDO's rails come with all 2 installed on each rail. The manual assumes that you've bought a regular set of rails with only 1 carriage installed. Just remember that you should just have these ones on already. Okay, Z-axis plate. So we want this way up. So you notice the 2, well there's 4 mounting holes for the spindle mount. You want the plate oriented such that the 2 that are outside of the bearing holes are on the bottom. We're going to mount that with M5 by 16. Just going to put these over here out the way, just so I don't lose anything. So are these? How are people doing? You still alive? It's gone awfully quiet on chat. Okay, so I'm just going to do these up. I'm not going to do them tight at the moment, just loosely. What you want is the lead screw nut kind of pulled up, but not pulled up so tight that the carriages can't move around a little bit underneath the plate. Do they come pre-lubricated? They sort of are. I will go back and put some grease under here when I get the time. The carriages come pretty clean. You certainly don't need to do the full IPA clean down. You may want to grease pack them if you want to. Right. So all I've just done there is I've just been aligning the 4 carriages with the holes on the plate so that I can start loading the nuts in, the bolts in. So now we want to take our M3x5s, 6, 3, 5, these bad boys. They're teeny tiny, aren't they? I've got more thread lock on my fingers today than I have on the things I'm trying to actually thread lock. Right, so same tactic as the other days. You want to get 1, I do the outside corner, 1 in each carriage, just to help you line some stuff up. Oops. And I like to literally do it one at a time so that I can shuffle carriages and stuff around without it getting kind of a bit locked up. Have a bit of movement still. Just good. So I'm just going to start loading the rest of these little teeny tinies. And the knowledge that all four of my carriages are aligned enough that the bolts will go in. Have you finished your build yet, X-Scale? Since you flew through your XY build? Or are you still preloading T-nuts like me and the Z for this whole stream? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of T-nuts, isn't there? You forget. It's one of those things, like, you remember the pain only when it comes back to you and you have to do it again. So get each one of your threads, each one of your bolts engaged in the bearing block. Let's see why that one's not going in. This should just not be going in the hole in the first place. Oh, that is because I placed a bolt on top of the one that was already there, haven't I? Yes, it's smooth though. Right. Definitely. You're gonna have caught up in no time, dude. You're going for a speed build. You're working with the first like PIF provider set of parts, aren't you, X-Scale? So that's going to be exciting to see someone build with the first set of those. All black. Yes, join the Stealth Milo Club. Okay, that is still running nicely at the moment. I'm going to be a little bit brave and just take these off temporarily. Please shout at me if I look like I'm going to move this without... Oh damn. Running smooth without having to do anything. That's strange. Right. We will worry about trying to get this nicely trammed in a bit because I want to get the end on so I can move it up and down the full length without fear. I'm going to tighten these up a bit. Double check that I did each one up. Nope, not one. So this is where I had a lot of troubles on my first build. Same with the X and Y, just because my plates were machined a bit, well, crap. Took me a while to get everything done up nicely. Not strange, just experience. I think maybe less experience and more just nicely machined playout parts. You know, these are machined on an industrial grade CNC, and you expect them to come out with very good tolerances, so you can rely on them a lot more than a printed part. Righty-ho. Next. Okay, so we have the Z-axis motor mount. I have already, like earlier, preloaded the bearings and the heatset inserts. I don't think you guys need to watch me doing any more of that than is necessary. So we need to put another locking collar. Now, I will stick to my recommendation. Don't actually tighten these using a ball end Allen key. I'm just putting that on there for convenience. I will actually tighten these up once we assemble these parts. However, it does make a good point. We want to just tighten this up enough such that we don't drop the thing. Definitely the wrong one. Because getting out from under there can be a bit annoying. So let's just loosely hold you down there so you don't run away. Okay, so we're going to install the motor mount at the top of the C-beam. We are obviously going to be having the motor, so it's going to go this way around. Just going to push through the bearings, right. And we need M5 by 12. Two, three, four. LDO do send you a fair amount of spares on these things, but it's always worth just making sure you tidy away the little bits so you don't lose them. Oh no, this packet's open on both ends. Definitely gonna lose them. Right. 1 second. Okay. We have a safe house for them. Okay, so thread locker as usual. Get the M5s through. it can be hard to see that you've actually got this bit aligned in terms of it not being twisted at this stage. I tend to find it helps just getting down to eye level and getting that first one in. But can't get it started. Right, there we go. Once you get 2 of these in, it should be quite easy. Last one. Real challenge. Can we still turn this? And we can. It's good. It's a bit awkward to do at this stage, but once you get the gear, once you get the gear on the end, you've got a bigger bit to grip to twist that. There's no hand wheels on the Z. It is worth noting, if you're printing your own parts, or possibly even if you're getting it from PIF, it does help to just run a 5.2mm drill bit through quite a few of these, so that you guarantee that your bolts are run nice and smoothly. Just makes that whole assembly process a little bit easier. Smoother. Right. Okay. So, the 4 bolts are in, lead screws poking through. Yeah, should be pretty good to move on to the next step, I think. Oh jeez. Remember, this stage, as just demonstrated, it is very top heavy. So yeah, just keep hold of the thing and watch your fingers. We'll call that one deliberate. Okay, so we're going to be putting the pulley on top. Let's get this back in the middle. Right. Obviously this can move around a bit at the moment because I've not adjusted this locking nut. So I'm just going to move that up a little to stop it. Stop this all moving around so much. So again, this has got 2 little grub screws in it we need to load in. These come pre-thread locked, as you can tell by the little blue section on them. I think I'm going to have to do this manual version like this in the future, because when I inevitably forget to turn the manual off, you guys can still see what I'm doing. I think that's working well. Okay, so this is going to go... Okay, so good comment here from Xscale. So the PIF providers, printer quality is obviously phenomenal. A lot of the guys are the guys from the Voron team. They're taking on some of that role for other projects now. And yeah, Xscale just mentioned there that with their quality, he's only had to barely drill out just the Y-axis motor mount. It's cool. It's good to see. So we're just going to tighten this up. So find it best to clamp one down just gently and then do the opposite one. And then you can go back and do the original one a little bit tighter. Rather than going all in immediately. Now you should be able to wind and move this X-axis up and down using this reasonably easily. So at this point in time, it should be there should be some resistance when turning, but you shouldn't. You should be able to do it quite easily. You can see how I'm not really struggling to turn it now. And then when you come up here, let me pull this backwards and forwards. There shouldn't be any movement, and you can see that there is here at the moment for me. But I can actually see that locking nut moving, so I just need to adjust these locking nuts, press them right up against it when I do this part of the assembly. I think I'm probably going to go this way and give myself a tiny bit more lead screw on the top there. Oh, this one's loose, that'll be why. Didn't do this one up, did I? Cool. So if we pull this right up, get that tension on there. Get stuck in this one. Loosen that enough that it's not. There we go. It's trying to wind its way back up with the lead screw thread. Press it down. Hold that tension in and just tighten it up. So absolutely no movement there, but I'm still able to rotate it nice and smoothly. Perfecto. We're just going to tighten this up a little using my good Allen keys because they are just better than the cheap one that I was using. Do the same at this end. Oh man, I can't believe how long I spent trying to get this assembly to run smoothly on my last build. That's just that's smooth enough I can back drive the bloody lead screw. Right. Obviously we're going to have to pack some grease and stuff in here. What I like to do is just get it all assembled while it's a bit cleaner, and then I will put the grease in and run the Z-axis up and down a lot of times to get that lubricant spreading through. Right. Let's hop back to the manual. Start assembling the motor. So we've got the motor, got the end, we've got the GT2 pulley belt, we need M5x20s. BH, nope. M5x20 BHCS. Which must be somewhere. Here's the M5 washers we need. So I'm just collecting all the parts for the next step in the build. M5x22 BHCS. I think I'm going to be using those because I don't have an M5 by 20. These are my options. Okay. I need to double check if that is just a difference in the LDO kit. I see no reason why a 22mm one wouldn't work. Hey Steve. So we're just going to go with the 22. Yeah, go with 22. Right. Although I only have 6 of those. Oh, I've still got 6 of them. Right, yeah, we're going to go with those. I'm assuming it's 6 with 2 spares. Right. So we are getting the stuff for the motor. So we've got the bolts. We need the nylock nuts still, which I have seen. Nylock nuts, washers, motor, pulley and belt, and the motor itself. Cool. So some notes in here about how to assemble it. This bit's a little bit fiddly. Hopefully you guys will be able to see okay if I turn this inside. This part is also worth having the correct size spanner. So let's dig that out because I always struggle to find the spanners. Oh, but they have provided one. Good work, LDO. Always forget, they give you little packs of tools and all sorts. Super useful. That one is probably what you really want to use for the grub screws, actually. Nice. Cool. Okay, so let's start with the motor. Oh, move that back up. So we're going to put the head on the motor. How you doing, Steve? When are you due to start your build? I know you've been doing all sorts, like modifying the fits slightly, which is really cool. We need you to submit your modified fits for those bearing holders. Tell you what, it's really weird going from being the guy that's watching all these big streams to having them appear in your stream. So it's weird. It's very weird. As usual, with the LDO kit, these grub screws have come pre-thread locked. The thing needs to go this way around. Because these press in, I like to align at least one of the 2 screws to the flat on the motor shaft. And it should be roughly aligned with the top of the motor's shaft. I just want to do those up. You'll share so you can confirm. I'm sure you didn't screw anything up, Steve. And if you did, you wouldn't be the first, so I wouldn't worry. So I think for me, on this version of it, the Z was like near perfect in terms of fit, or actually pretty much perfect. The X and Y were a tiny bit loose. I don't know how that matches with what you were researching. It's always hard because everyone's printer is slightly different, and you know how it is. Right. Okay, so we're gonna have these motor cables just come out the back, I think. Milo has disappeared from Fusion. Wonderful. Can't decide. Which way did I do it on my last one? I think I had the motor mount. The wire's just coming out backwards. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. It gets in the way if you put it sideways. Yeah. Right, we're gonna go with backwards. Yeah, I'm talking about the bearing. She changed all the holes. So interestingly, is that including the Z? Because my Z one's fitted lovely. I don't know if some of them have been changed and some haven't at this point. Hey Bear, cool. Awesome. I'm assuming that is fully self-sourced, given that the LDO kits haven't landed yet. Right. So now we're going to take the 22mm long M5s. We're going to put a washer on, so we don't need you yet. I'm going to go through. The way this assembly works is the motor sits in here, and you basically install it in this position where the motor is closest to the front, and that will allow you to actually install your belt. Then what you do is you pull it backwards and then tighten these up, and that just achieves the belt tension that we need on this belt to just hold it all together. We are going to have to adjust the height slightly here to get that belt to line up nicely. Probably. Yeah, okay. But I just need to shuffle this up slightly. Oh, everything's in the way. Right. Let's just do that whilst I'm holding it here. So I can still get into here to do it. So I've got this one pressed right down against the bearing. You want to get this so that it's nice and flat and in line. The little trick is if you spin it around, it will kind of align itself. Then gently clamp it down. And you can take it back out of the assembly and just tighten it down properly. It's the same material pre-orientation, the whole side shouldn't change. Yeah, it shouldn't do. You are correct, Steve. Let me make a note. I will have a look. Where's my paper gone? Right, high-tech notepad. You swapped all of them to 22.2, did you? Instead of 22.4. Look, high-tech notes. Right. Okay. $7:15 AM, early. Well, I'm kind of nearly done here. We've just got to do the attach this and do the spindle. But we're going to be back later this evening for round 2, which will be exciting. I'm going to have a small break, and by that I mean I'm going to go and wire up V-Core 3, and then I'll be back. All the parts are waiting for, that was consistent, just commenting your parts. Yeah, it's strange, I didn't actually print them, Jake printed this set, I think it was all new filament though. He ordered it from Amazon for my build. I mean, that doesn't say that much, because you never know with Amazon where it's been stored or whatnot. But it should have all come in the sealed bag. Yes, exactly. It can be wet. Depends on the supplier itself. Have you seen the Stratasys filament stuff? Steve, have you seen the Stratasys filament cartridges that are like hermetically sealed and microchipped so you can't use any other filament brands? Heard about it in the legends. Yeah, I work with quite a few companies in industry that do use those printers. And it's... Oh yeah, of course, I've gone the wrong way around. Right, you know what? I think actually I'm going to use the other ones. Where did I put them? 5x20s. Let me make a note of that as well. All these docs to update, right? Head type. Okay. This through the hole. Washer on just to allow it to slide on this slot. And the nylock, what I like to do is just get the nylock started, just so everything's held in place with all 4 bolts, and then worry about starting to actually do them all up. This gets quite fiddly on these ones. Shouldn't be too bad. What are you having for breakfast then, Steve? Did you watch Milo? The important questions need answering. So we're just getting into that. Okay, so I've got all 4. Oh, so top heavy at this point in time. I've got all 4 of these bolts in. So, and I've adjusted this so that the belt height is level. Now, essentially you need to... I'm going to do all these up a lot more before I try and do this, but you're going to end up putting the motor back towards you. Get to belt tension like that. And then tighten them up. There are washers there. They're only small. There are washers. Could do with being bigger washers, to be fair. You know, the wide flanged washers rather than the standard ones. Ideally. They are quite hard to see on camera. However, I think maybe in the future. It's not going to really change much, but the wide flanged versions would sit better. Would give a bit more support. I feel like what I do these days is I do a stream, create a big list of things for the design team to look at, and then run out of time to be useful in fixing them, and then I repeat the process a week later. Yeah, I think they are a bit small. Have you got the same ones then? I'm always a little bit unclear because my kit is like, they've come in other kits. Okay. You guys may have different ones. I need to, whenever I make these issues while I'm doing this, I need to go back and check the logs that LDO have with us for from the beta kit learning and the alpha kit, and check that I just don't have the wrong, like the old set. Because half these problems they're already kind of fixed. Like I have the wrong size M2.5 inserts. If I can find my better one, I think that would be. There we go. That's going to be better. As nice as it is to get it, they're never going to replace nicer tools. Right. Okay. What are we on? So we're just coming up to an hour and 2.5 hours. Yeesh. I always forget how long this part of the assembly takes. There's so few steps in the manual, but they take so long. Spare grub screws, always useful. So when I'm doing this, I'm putting the Allen keys stationary because you can't get a good turn angle. I'm doing all of the tightening on the outside using the spanner. Yeah, these washers are definitely a bit small for me. Let me see what I've got available. It's like an Aku brand thing. That'll do the job. Right. Let's undo all these bad things. Okay. So I'm just swapping out the washers because I'm with 23 each of typical 5 and the small OD. Okay, so you guys got some bigger washers, and it's just the beta set like I've got doesn't have those. That's fine. See, I knew I knew half this stuff on my list would already be checked off. Right, so I'm just going to put in these wide flanged ones, which are definitely overkill levels of width. Oh no, they're M3. Right. What am I doing? I must have an F5 set. What am I messing around with? Nylock. Screws. Ooh. What's this happening? Apparently I didn't order any spares when I did the last Milo build. Oh, I know where I've got a load of washers. Oh. May as well do this screen where you can see my unorganised mess. So these are from my rebuild of a 3-core printer somewhere in here. I'm sure I've got a whole host. They're M6s though, which are going to be too big. You know what? M6 will get away with. I think what we're going to do, we're going to go for an M6 to spread the load, and then the little one on the inside, and the nut will sit nicely. That'll do. You can guarantee I end up needing those on my other builds in a bit. They're regretting this though to take them back out, but here we are. That is a problem for future me. Right. Okay, so I'm just going to undo these, and I'm putting the bigger washer underneath. So when you rebuild this, make sure you use the bigger washers for this step. The whole point of them is so that you can still tighten this up and not damage the plastic underneath, and so you can spread that load wider so it doesn't try and pull the nut through the plastic. So we're going to go same again. We're going to go big one, little one. I don't actually have M5s. And then this on top. There we go. That makes me feel a lot more comfortable, that does. Okay, so if we put this up right, you should be able to see the difference here. You're going to focus though? Oh, there we go. So I put the big nut, the big washer. It's actually an M6, little washer, and then the nut. And that's just spread it out a lot nicer. Whereas these ones, the nut and the washer could almost drop into the groove, which wouldn't be good in terms of damaging the part. Let's replace the other two. To be honest, let's just get rid of this plate. Right, thank you, Steve, for making sure that I didn't just get lazy and go with it. Anyway, if anyone else watching, if you're getting the release LDO kits, it will in fact come with a larger size of washer. So this will be a non-issue. Just make sure you use the big size. That has already been confirmed by those people that have received a release style kit instead of a beta kit. The the kit, the version that the streamers have, the proper streamers, not me, should be identical to the release one. There is just a single wire change that has been released. So each of the resellers pop a new wire for one connection into your box. And that will be the only difference. The advantage of the double washers as well is I can be lazy and barely have any turns to do to tighten these bad boys up. Right. Tension this backwards, which was awkward. Loose. A bit overzealous with my initial tightening. Right. Just moving again. So you want to get that back and tight. It's always awkward to do at the same time as holding these. What I'm going to try and do is just place something about the right size behind it, just to wedge it open a little bit. Make my life a bit easier. Right, there we go. You almost need 3 hands to do this bit. Now it doesn't need to be super tight, but it just needs to be tight enough that the belt has a reasonable amount of tension on it. Good news, that Allen key should just hold itself in place. Not that happy with my tension. Get this in a more convenient place? Maybe. Right. Go. Okay. I've got a lever to apply tension this time. A long while since I've done this whilst it's not actually attached to the rest of the build to hold itself in place. There we go. Right. We have an Allen key lever with my first hand. With my second hand, of my 3 that I need, we have the Allen key just held in place. And then we're going to tighten this up. Let's put the tension onto that side, put that in place. Yeah, that's nice and tight there now. We can start doing up some of the others. There we go, much happier. Except I've got my Allen key stuck. Cool. There we go, so we've got decent belt tension on there now. You want to make sure this isn't too loose or it's just going to slip teeth. And also you don't need to like really crank down, it just needs to be tight enough. Right, next up. Okay, so we're using FMJs, so little printed parts between here and here would be pretty redundant, so they're left off basically of these builds. The LDO version of the ballast box, if you install that, doesn't have any holes anyway, because it basically doesn't have any space left for them. So skip those. That is more cable stuff that we're going to do at the end. Now we're going to join the axes together. So we're going to skip to the FMJ version, which is just 4 bolts on each side into the Y. Let's get this off. Right. This is where the build starts to get tiring because the whole assembly starts to weigh. At this point, if you've got the hand wheel attached, you will want to put the y-axis actually on something because it sits lower than the y-axis itself. If you don't have a nice plate to put it on, remove your hand wheel or you'll end up damaging, bending your lead screw a little bit. It might be okay, but I wouldn't advise it, because the assembly is going to start to get heavy. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to start preloading the nuts down here for the FMJs. A bit of plastic or swarf or something in there. I'm sure there's going to be all these channels filled with swarf soon enough, but there we go. Put it out while I can. Okay, so we need the M5 T-nut. You might be better to see this from above. I thought it'd be better from that side, but yeah. So you probably won't see me putting it in, but basically on the top row, on the side, you're going to want to preload some nuts. The only thing that is quite important, if I can actually lift this thing. So this one, that first nut needs to be that way round, otherwise the T-nut won't be able to go far enough to the left for the first FMJ hole. So we need 4 of these in here. I'm going to assemble it under the assumption that everything's going to be perfectly trammed, i.e. I'm not going to put any shims or anything in there right now. But underneath the FMJ assembly here is where you can place some shims if your assembly sits forwards and backwards or side to side a little. Although if it is side to side, the first thing I check is that your plates are actually aligned well with each other, because that's the most likely case for side to side lean. Yes, they are providing plastic channel covers. But one rule of using the machine is once you start cutting metal or wood, chips and dust get literally everywhere. It does not matter what you do. They will get where you don't want them. Will just happen. I do need to see how many of the channel covers are provided though. On my build over there, I've filled basically all of the upwards facing channels, so that it is a lot easier to clean. It's a lot easier just brushing them off rather than getting aluminium bits actually built up inside the channels themselves. Right, so I got 4 on each side. I forgot about that. We're just going to try and drop this assembly in here. So it's quite a tight fit. And just be careful, keep hold of it, because it will try and fall forwards. Probably better to go to DSLR at the moment. Okay. Oh, wasn't far off with my T-nuts. Not a bad guess. Oh, well, she says that. You can't even see the last one. What's it got? I missed one. It's miles off of my T-nut placement. Take 2. Let's get these holes lined up. 1, 3. Not the. It's the point where, yeah, it's gets a bit heavy to handle. It can help to have a friend with these bits. Wedged in, back it up. Now all I'm doing is the usual trick here, lining up the T-nuts. Right, I do have a small set square somewhere. We'll just use the 1, 2, 3 blocks. Oh, got a load of wood dust on it. Gross. Okay. So, if you've got a big engineer's square, this is a good opportunity to use that. The one I've got is, well, I trust it less than the 1, 2, 3 blocks, so what I'm going to do is just make sure my 2, 1, 2, 3 blocks are sitting nicely against the Z, and this should hopefully, you can see that I can adjust this a little bit around. See, it's got a bit of nod backwards and forwards here until I've done it up. You can see a gap forming. Well, you might not be able to, but I can. You see there's opportunity for the Z nod to be off. I'm going to try and get it as good as we can, and hopefully the effort we put into the assembly earlier, I mean, up here is as parallel as down there, which is what we're hoping for, but we will have to check during a bit of a tramming experiment later. Okay, right. So we need, manual wise, it says we need M5 by 12. Okay, the usual. Thread lock. There's lots of spare thread lock on the outside of it. Go. Right, so I'm just going to be doing, going to get one of these in and done up, just because then I can finally trust it not to fall over on me. I'm just going to pull this right back against the motor mount so that the motor mount gets the benefit of the bracing. There should be a very small gap between the end of the rails and the Z-axis, but only very small. Get that one in. I'm going to do one on each side just to hold it in place so I don't have to worry about it falling on my head constantly. So I really, once it gets to this size, it's really awkward to get a good angle for you. It's also blocking all my light. Hey. Let's do this. Need a bit more light coming straight from the camera, don't I, once it gets to this size? We'll get that set up for this afternoon. Some bonus lighting. Right. Okay, so I'm just doing them all up a bit loosely at the moment. And then we will check again with our 1, 2, 3 blocks. So the advantage of this is the LDO kit will come with some decent 1, 2, 3 blocks. We as a design team have received, I think, like 5 or 6 sets at different times, and each verified. We're happy that they are good quality 1, 2, 3 blocks, so they're reliable right angle face to reference off of. Also reliable dimension to reference off of for the future, but not so important for this application. Okay. How loud is the printer, by the way, guys? It's decided to crank its noise up a notch as far as I can tell myself, but you know how it is. I might be working on this project, but I need to be printing the next one while I'm doing it. Okay. Get that in there. Cool, that's looking nice. Sitting flat against both corners, possibly back just a fraction. So my assembly is naturally trying to tip forwards a little, so I'm having to kind of pull it back, hold the block in place to get that right angle, and now that's sitting in nicely. Front one, this side, the same principle. So just point it back slightly, getting that to sit nice. And then do it up. So you do here have the opportunity to shim under there, and when I take these blocks out and see what amount of gap I've got, we will find out. The 1, 2, 3 blocks are in fact metric. So let's see here, we got 50, 75 and 25. Well, to be fair, 51. It could be Imperial actually, I can't remember. Yeah, I think they are, because that looks like 50, 50.8. I think they are Imperial, but it doesn't really matter. Obviously, once you know what size they are, that's the size they are. So this set of bolts are the ones that I'd probably do up. The only ones in the whole build where I'd encourage you to tighten them pretty well, because they take a lot of backwards and forwards sort of vibrations, load, and yeah, just a very high loaded set of bolts. Yes, they are. I think you're right. I think they are Imperial, Ed. You are right. The ones that we've got. My brain had a little brain fart when I tried to do the conversion. For some reason 50 wasn't close to double 25.4. Okay, Milo is starting to look the part. Right. I know, it's tiring building a Milo, isn't it? Honestly though, this little plate that lets me basically spin it round because it's so smooth and flat is like a godsend. Okay. Now we need to turn from the back. Oh no, I forgot to preload the washers. Okay. So you can see the manual. We got 2 bolts to go in from the back of the motor mount. We're going to have to play the fun game of preloading a T-nut and sliding it down the groove and hoping in a blind hole that it's in the right location. Oh, I've got hiccups as well. We want... what screw do we want? M5x12s as well. I'll work out this way. Oh god. And he immediately drops it in without being locked in place. At this point in time, Milo probably weighs like 20 kilos, so I wouldn't advise doing that too many times. Or you'll get your workout for free. Says that, nearly does it again. Alright. The most important part is not to push it past where the hole is, because you can always push it a little bit further in, but you can never, or not easily, get it back out if you go too far. Okay. Tweezers are handy at installing those. Yeah. Well, they're certainly handy for getting them back out. Yo, hey dude. Things are progressing well. We have one more bolt to go in, and then the main structure is done. I think we put the spindle on after this, and then I'll actually be calling it a morning or lunchtime. I'm going to have some food. I'm going to do some life admin. I'm going to do some printer wiring. Then we're going to be back this evening at 8 PM UK time. Probably a sensible time for the rest of you who have been here. Sensible time. We'll get started. Right, so we have what looks like a Milo. Stealth mode. Really weird at that camera angle. The aspect ratio is making it look very strangely wonky. Right. I can confirm in real life it is not that wonky. Okay. Oh no. Right, spindle time. So, annoyingly, this is the only two heatset inserts I appear to have forgotten today. So let's get stuck in there. I believe they are M5 inserts. M3s. M3 holes. Jakey boy, can you confirm that these are in fact M5 size holes? Yeah. Okay. More for my notes. That's not an LDO specific thing, is it? That's just the manual's got the wrong size washers. Cool. We've got a little set of notes to make GitHub issues for. Okay, let's do these inserts. M5s. Right, boys, we have, and girls if you're there, we have the inserts done. Next step on the manual is basically everything goes all the way through the assembly. So, all the way up. So, little teeth slide into the grooves to help with alignment. And then we have the super long bolts to go through the middle. And this is the reason why we need the tiny M5 washers. Not for the other part. 1, 2, 3, 4. How have I managed that? We might just need to do a little bit of drilling just to make these run a bit easier. Oh, no. I just poked it all the way through and it was touching the wood behind the holes. Although these ones could do the... Okay, we're all good. Right. He's only 100mm long. Feels so long. One second, I just want to clear the little a little bit of support structure bridging out of that hole a bit nice. I hope I was doing this way you could see. Yes, I was. Is that you finished your work for the day then, Jake? Thought you were off early. Well, I guess if you were up early in the morning, you probably are finished, aren't you? Can't believe it's 4 o'clock already. Right. So, bolts pass through that part. Now, these need to go through the holes on the spindle, on the front of the Z mount. Like so. Might get a better view from over that way. And now we need the M5 nylox on the back. 1, 2, 3, 4. This set of nylon nuts is possibly my least favourite part of the build because it's fiddly. And because I'm spoiled with the square spindle on my other build where these just threads directly into the plate itself. What happened to my music? They are still playing, it's very quiet. Right. 2 more of these. This side. So just going to put it in there. And as the manual says, don't tighten these yet because we have a spindle to drop in. It is worth noting I've not actually checked the tram. We're just going to have to hope for the best for now. I suspect this will have to come off at some point when it comes to doing the proper tramming. I do not have the fancy logo. I'll do that later. And I'm not sticking any of the cable management bits on yet because I don't want to break anything while I'm moving stuff around. Okay, so that's table assembly next, but I want to install my spindle. Where's the spindle instructions? I mean, it's super simple, so we're just going to do it, but Voila. Just rest that there. I'm just going to wind this down so that the nose of the spindle can sit on my 1, 2, 3 blocks whilst I do this up, just to keep it as a really rough and quick and dirty tram, just to keep things in place. Where do you tram, at the FMJ base or at the spindle? I'm not entirely sure what you mean. To get the best and easiest results, you want to make sure every joint is as close to 90 as possible. Otherwise, trying to compensate up here for stuff down here just gets quite complicated. And we'll never get the same results. Let's turn that soldering iron off. So, later when I do actual tramming, I will try and I will check how trammed this part is, and then again to this section to check that this assembly isn't wonky, even if this part's good. And then the last thing is your spindle has some play in here, so you will end up having to do the spindle separate from the Z plate. Right, some 1, 2, 3s. Trading. Yeah, there's also a bit of an iterative cycle because everything needs to be trammed to each other. So as you start adding the other parts in, you kind of need to go back and check the original bits are in line with the new parts. Which is why you're kind of best being like mostly assembled before you sink too much time into it. But like getting the rest of the joints pretty close is worthwhile at this stage. But I wouldn't bother cracking out the micrometers and stuff yet. We've got to do this left-handed. It's going to be fun. Spin it around. Cool. Once this is done, we're calling it a morning. We're going to move on this evening at 8 PM. We're going to do the table, which I think is quite quick, so you never know. We may get started on some electronics, but we'll see how that goes. Jake, did you see my my pictures of the fixated clamp part? I think it's going to be quite a nice little starter project. I ran 3 of them last night with pretty good results. Each of the widths was within 0.05 of each other, which for a desktop hobby grade machine is pretty damn good, if you ask me. Oh no, I've tightened these up too much. Spindle's slightly wonky. Which one of you is this that I need to loosen? Oh. I didn't notice I hadn't got my electrical connector aligned. Not ideal. Yeah, they're looking nice. The LDO starter end mill kit, it's particularly the chamfer mill, is yeah, it's real nice. Although I did waste a load of time trying to work out why my manual tool changing was messing up, and it's because I had options stop turned on, and so it was just stopping at each tool change. I was like, damn it. Wasted like an hour trying to play with Fusion post-processor settings just to find that out. Right, let's get this electrical connector lined up this time. Okay, actually it needs to be that side. When you're doing this, you want to get the gap that's around the whole spindle cover to be as consistent as possible. I.e. you don't want to clamp one side all the way down and then have the other side really open. So just sort of try and balance your tightening of these bolts. Yeah, the chamfer mill works really well. Really, really well. Those of you that are still building your Milo, you'll learn pretty quick that getting that last finishing touches of perfectly chamfering everything is by far the hardest part of getting it all to work well. There is so little margin for error that, like, your eyes just notice the difference in chamfering like immediately if you mess that bit up at all. So I think it'd be a good idea for feeler gauge. I don't think it's really necessary. Like at the end of the day, if they're off a little bit, the gap difference is not going to affect it. Like, it's only going to have a big deal where you clamp one side all the way down and the other side's really open. Sorry. It's getting too heavy to nicely slide around. We're looking pretty good for a first, for a dirty tram. Moving the 1, 2, 3 blocks around different bits of the table, it's sitting pretty flat and tight on all of them. I don't think anyone's got Milo machined the spindle block yet, have they? Just the hearts of iron, which I'm going to have to do now that I have a printed mount. Okay. So you guys can't see much of that, but you get the idea. Good. Cool. Right, guys. There we have it. One stealth Milo, with just a table to go from a mechanical point of view. Yeah. Exciting times. Right, guys. I will see you all this evening. Yeah. Hope this video helped, and like, subscribe, and do all the things that influencers and YouTubers ask for. You know the drill. Have a nice day, guys.